Hey, how are you, sir?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Yeah, good, good. Well, I want to first off thank you for taking your time out of your day to join us today. I greatly appreciate it. And
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
yeah, no, yeah, no, officially welcome.
Thank
It's
you.
and it's interesting to think that it's kind of crazy to think too. Like the getting ready to be over soon-ish, which is wild. I was able to keep up with the Dash a little bit, along with some other, double like single A, double A, triple A clubs, and people keep reminding me, they're like, it feels like the season just started yesterday. It's interesting.
I know. I know. It's been crazy for me. I mean, first year at any team, any new job is always gonna be nuts, right? But um, I certainly feel it's been a whirlwind for a while here. But 6 games, 6 home games left. That's it.
Yeah, crazy, crazy. So, I usually like to start off the interviews with a fun question for you, just as like a little icebreaker sort of thing.
Yep.
So if you could choose your favorite home cooked meal, what would you choose?
Home cooked meal for me, it's got to be cutlets.
Cutlets? All right. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, cutlets, some good sauce, good pasta. Yeah, that's got to be number one.
All right. So as you mentioned, it's your first season with the Dash. What have been some good moments for you? What have been some moments for you that have been interesting? However you want to take the direction of the question, it's totally free reign.
Yeah, I think that well, we started with a bang. So one of the programs I've been running for years across several teams is Night for Vets, and that was on opening day this year. So we welcomed an enormous crowd. I think it was our second largest crowd of the season outside July 4th, which was really cool to see the community get behind that initiative and send out. It was 1,500 veterans, I want to say, it came out just for opening day alone. Um, so that was a really fun one. We tried some new promos this year too, and we didn't have a full runway to get all of those off the ground like we will for next year. So I was glad to see us take a stab at those. Marvel Night was really cool. We had the Black Panther out here, specialty jerseys. That was a lot of fun, and we have tons of those coming up here in the future as well. I think we have about 4 to 5 promos for next year. They're going to be full immersion with jersey caps, everything. So we're definitely excited for those.
Sweet. And that's always a neat thing too, is being able to get like the guys on the field involved with it too, rather than just the fans alone. So how have the guys been able to react to that? Was it like more so positive?
Yeah. So the last homestand and a half, most of our guys got called up to Double A, which is great. That's exactly what you want to see. And that's the goal for those guys. But it was a really good group. They bought into everything we did. We have a content creator on staff as well that oftentimes, it's a big ask for them to film some things or to take some time away from baseball to make whatever, which is good content that's ultimately for our fans. And so I mean, I couldn't ask for a better group this year, quite honestly. I mean, from the coaching staff being permissible to let them do almost anything they wanted to the guys kind of buying in and making it really cool. Like, I don't know if you saw, we did a Field of Dreams night and we had some corn stalks on the field and the whole team, as their player intros happened, they came out of the corn like they do in the movie, and they were all kind of into it and played along really well. And it's an interesting ask. They're trying to do a job, and they were good sports about it, so we appreciated that.
All right, awesome, awesome. Glad to hear that. And like we were talking about a few minutes ago, it's crazy to think that, like you said, home games left. So what's going to be a big thing to look forward to, like the next 6 games, especially the next few week stretch, between the team, between like them and the front office, like what's something like big on the docket that you kind of foresee coming?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird time. So people always they're like, "Oh, it's the end of the season. What now?" or whatever. And I'm like, "Well, that's crazy for me to hear because our schedule gets released Wednesday. So that's right before we lead into a homestand. So we're not only going to be executing 2022, we're also going to be executing 2023 at the same time because obviously people are already buying season tickets for next year, trying to book their groups when the schedule is out and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be going on while we have a homestand. I'm most excited probably for a touch of truck event. It's on the last game of the year. I have some little ones, so I know that's something that they enjoy and families can enjoy. But we have fire trucks, police cars, the army's bringing vehicles, tractors, just any kind of like vehicular equipment you can imagine will be out here, and the kids can go up and have access to it. Like I know every time I drive by, a bulldozer, my son starts, talking about it and wants to get inside, whatever. Well, you can do that here. So that's going to be a really fun one pregame.
All right, sweet. Awesome. That's gonna be really exciting too. And I'm sure, I saw a couple of the promos that you all have had for it. And as soon as I saw it for the first time, I had the same reaction. I'm like, how darn cool is that? And so, kind of shift the conversation a little bit. When you wake up every morning, get ready to go to work, what's something that you get really excited about, like as you go into work? Like what's something that really excites you about your position?
Yeah, I think the number one thing, and probably the main reason, I won't speak for everybody, but for me, the reason I like working in minor league baseball is that literally every day when you come in, if you really wanted to, you could just kind of brainstorm and get creative and say, why don't we try this promo? Why don't we make the game look like this? What if we took our music this direction? What if we tried this on-field skit? What if we had the mascot do this? What if we made this cool TikTok? Like you can kind of just sit there and be creative all the time. And so that's not something you can do at a lot of other gigs. I mean, I worked in accounting for a little bit, and there's not a whole lot of creativity and flexibility that you can have there. So being able to have that here is a nice plus. And I think it's kind of what keeps the energy because, I mean, what's really the difference between a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Friday? There may be more people in the park one day versus another, but if you can present that show in a different way, because, we don't control on the field. We hope they play well and we hope it's an entertaining game. But if it's not, we have to be ready to make sure that we make it entertaining for everybody. So that's probably my favorite part, and it's truly a everyday conversation with our staff.
Yeah, and that's what makes it interesting. On top of that is every day can be so different, and it's definitely one of those things where it is definitely not a 9 to 5 job, right? The classic 9 to 5 in the office sort of gig, right? There's so many other things that involved with it outside of the office, in the ballpark, out of the ballpark. There's been a lot of times the stuff that I've done where it's just like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, oh wait, this is a great idea for this, or this is a great idea for that. Where it's like, it's one of those light bulb moments where it's like, that's a pretty fun light bulb to have. It's such an odd time too. But
Yeah.
um, if you could recommend, a piece of advice, whether it's somebody entering the sports industry or they've already been in the industry for a while and looking for a new job, like what would that piece of advice look like?
Yeah, I have a bunch of cliche ones that I give that I hate to give, but I hopefully have a little different spin on them. One is just going to be like, okay, we can sit here and say work hard, but I like to say, like, what does that even mean, right? And it's like, well, whenever you're working hard at something, make sure that you observe others and making sure you're working hard in the same direction so that as you're putting in the time and you're learning from all your mistakes, you can benefit from that. And that kind of brings me to my next one of like, it's okay to make mistakes. And I tell everybody when we come up with promo nights or theme nights, I'm like, when you come up with this night, I don't care what it is. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know what every single good theme night's going to be. I go, but I don't want you to try it once if you're going to try it. You have to try it twice because there's so many things that, oh man, if I would have done this different. I mean, some of my most successful promotions I've ever done, I still look at them. I'm like, I would have done X, Y, and Z different. Right. So if that's the case, then that's probably the case for all of them. So why don't we try it and commit to it twice so that we don't, if so many times you get a promotion and you just don't feel that momentum. Sometimes, you have it. You're like, this is going to be a good one. Sometimes you don't. And then I can see them kind of flickering out if it's like, it's not going to happen. But if going into it that you're going to have to do it again, you're going to be like, okay, this might suck, and it might, but I'm going to give it everything so that when I do it again next time, I learn from that and I won't make that mistake again. So I think you just got to be open and like realize that it's not always going to happen. We have some phenomenal people on our staff, and I've worked with some phenomenal people that have really messed up some stuff. And thankfully, they learned and moved on, and we were all better for it.
All right, awesome, awesome. I appreciate that. And it's interesting. I was able to have a conversation with one of the assistant city managers over in Winston-Salem on Friday morning, and it's interesting to kind of reflect on like the history of the team a little bit. Because the Dash itself has been in Winston-Salem for quite a while. We got the new ballpark in 2010. And, we're talking about how great like the relationship has been, between the team and the city, and how, both have kind of been beneficial between one another. And so, I kind of want to get your side of it. How do you think like the relationship has been, with the city and the team? I don't, like I said, this is your first season, but have they been helpful for you? Has it been good?
Yeah, so it's my first season, but in a lot of ways, it's been kind of like multiple seasons into one with the amount of conversations we've had of recent. Most of it's public now that we are doing some substantial upgrades to the facility. A lot of that is PDL driven, of course, and so I've been in touch with those folks very frequently for really since I started here, and having done this also at other places and kind of seeing how the community has reacted to ballpark improvements or even just everyday things that people don't see, like an air conditioner could go out or like whatever. Working with the city here has been kind of a breath of fresh air. I mean, they're really great people. They're invested into making this team work and making sure that this facility is one of the top facilities in the country, and especially for high A. And that kind of story is told in a way because when we had to go and get funding for PDL, I actually haven't found another team that is spending less money than we are because they've done such a great job, not only just building it, but also maintaining it for all this time. So there's some crazy, crazy projects out there of 10, 20, $30 million that we're not even near just because we've done such a great job between the Dash and the city and keeping this facility exactly where it needs to be. So that's really, I mean, that's a testament to them as much as to us, quite honestly. And I don't think they get credit for that they probably deserve or that people would want to give.
Yeah, that's incredible. And the conversation we had Friday, like, the gentleman I spoke with, kept saying how much, they love the team. Like we love the Dash, the Dash has been great, in terms of like being a significant source, to the community in terms of, what the team does and all that. So it's great to hear, both sides, just both how both sides do complement each other like so very well. Um, and so, as kind of a wrap up question to wrap up this part of the conversation, as we draw near the off season, um, how are you guys getting ready for it? Are you guys ready for it? Number one, and then like, what's something that's going to really stand out for you? And once we do get to the off season.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's we're here a lot, obviously in the summer when there's a lot of games, a lot of hours, and people miss family time and free time and stuff. But there is something to be said of kind of why we do this is that we're always at the ballpark and like we enjoy games. I mean, nobody in their right mind would work this amount of hours for this amount of pay if they didn't like the games and like what they were doing, right? And that's kind of obvious. So you have that, but at the same time, one of my favorite things to do, as I kind of alluded to earlier, is just like brainstorm, get creative, and develop what it's going to be. And that really happens in the off season. So we've already been doing a few. I had jersey concepts come in this morning that I sent off for approvals to MLB. Caps have already been delivered. I'm looking at some over here to my left. And so all that has been going on. But now it's like, okay, how do we take our current schedule, make a promotional schedule? What goes into that? So if you're going to book a Marvel character, well, we didn't do that the week before. That was 7 months in advance. And how do all these promos come to light? I mean, it takes a long time just to coordinate 30 vehicles. They're going to be, where are they going to be? Where are we going to park people when there's a tank in the parking lot? These are all like questions that we answer in the off season. And then there's stuff that we haven't even thought of yet. We'll have some brainstorming sessions, some retreats, whatever, that everyone on the staff will have the floor and have the opportunity to make what it is. And everybody has different interests. That's kind of the coolest part, is that we're our own community too, our staff, and we all have different interests and we all do different things in our free time. So they can bring that to a forum here at the team and be like, hey, here's what I think we should do. Here's what's important to us. And say, okay, well, let's try it, and then we'll try it twice, as I said earlier. So that's all on the forefront right now, and just talking with our ticket holders and keeping them engaged in the off season. I try to run a family franchise, is what I say. And I truly want our fans to feel as though they're family, so they can reach out to us at any time and give us their input as well. I mean, they're the ones experiencing the game more than we are, so we do heavily rely on their feedback, obviously. So last season's a good time. I mean, I enjoy it. I know it's different than games, but it is kind of nice having some of that time back and being able to get creative.
Yeah, for sure. And then, it's always exciting once you do get to like the months of March and April and May, like once you kind of gear up to see how it all turns out too. That's always an extremely fun time. See like, okay, cool. How do we do? And then once you get that feeling, okay, we did pretty good, then that's when it all really pays off at the backlog of it.
Oh yeah,
Um, but again, that's the last question I had for you for now. Again, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of the day to do this. It's definitely great having you on board. And we
cool.
definitely want to continue the conversation, a few weeks or so down the road.
Yeah, for sure. No, thanks for having me, and yeah, just let me know. Looking forward to hearing it as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I want you to have a great day today too.
Cool. Hey, you too. Thanks.
Yeah,
We'll
thank you.
see you.
Thank you.